Hello, my marvellous sausages. Good lord, I've been absolutely staggered by the response to a video I put out last weekend. Basically, I was just making a video and all the comments that I had about people being, well, not particularly happy about the Edge of Fate and its direction. So I went through some people's comments and it's gotten a huge response for my channel anyway. It's absolutely huge. So thank you everybody for responding to the comments. Some very spicy ones in there as well. Yes, but considering this is my first day, I've been away on holidays, you see, I've just come back, and I wanted to make just a follow-up to it, because firstly, it was really successful, thank you so much for that, and secondly, it's really interesting to see people's different takes on what's going on, because more news, of course, has come out over the last week, and we've got a new dev stream coming out tomorrow, so I wanted to go through some of the comments, and we'll have a chat with them together, and don't forget to leave your comments below. I'd like to keep this kind of video format going, for over various different topics, so if you're not afraid to have your comment used, make sure you leave it and I might pick it up and shove it in a vid. So the first one, I decided to read this one. I did the grind for Artifice Armor on 3 accounts so I can play the high-end content and not grind for armor again. I have no problem grinding for weapons, etc., but grinding for armor, no! Puzzles in standard content is because your content is boring or weak. Leave puzzles for dungeons and raids. What about all the adept weapons and armor we previously ground for? Bungie could have owned the gaming world and they piddled it away, good word, like a drunken sailor with $5 in his pocket. Wake TF up already, whoever TF is. Well, that's the problem, see, isn't it? Is that it's getting all redone. This is kind of like a soft reset, and to do a soft reset, you have to wipe the slate clean in some order. The only thing that they haven't done is just sunsetted all the weapons like they did before. But I can understand why you feel like that, you know, in having to regrind the armor. The armor is the biggest bugbear for me, and I'm quite glad that I haven't put in too much effort grinding like a triple 100 stat or something like that, because that can take an awful lot of time. So for me, having a new armor chase isn't bad at all. In fact, it's something that I'm looking forward to, and I actually think the new system is less fiddly than the older one. Do you know what I mean? Particularly with the archetypes, like the Grenadier archetype, or I don't even know what the 6 of them are, I can't remember. But there's 2 stats that spike. I like that, and I think that's going to make the grind a lot easier, particularly when it comes to tier 5. So anyway, there we go. But I do understand the fact that you've got all your lovely adepts now, and they're not going to be immediately rubbish, but they will be replaced as time goes on, yes. Now, I'm not just picking negative comments because they're funny, but believe me, there's loads of funny ones in there. But I've decided to pick ones as well that kind of start a little bit of a conversation, okay? So this is interesting. I honestly can't relate with any of these comments. I've stopped playing D2 lately, and all the changes coming have really made me excited to play again. That's one of the few people who said this, especially with Armor 3.0. Armor has been boring and irrelevant for years now, and the changes make the armor actually fun to grind for. And then somebody else says, same boat. And then somebody else says, agreed. I feel like the new armor system will bring back the thrill of actually feeling like you're actively leveling your guardian up again. True. It also gives reason to care about armor drops again, past maybe getting a new transmog skill that you can use. That's all I kind of get armor for now, is transmog, really. Current armor system isn't bad. The problem is once you have a good set of armor with a good roll, you don't do anything anymore. That's absolutely spot on. Just simply infuse it up to the current level with each new expansion. Yeah, and in turn, it kind of takes away that feeling of chasing something new and relevant when it comes to armor. That's true, isn't it? Because you do kind of, you know, once you've got your armor where it is, that's it. You finish with the armor. You're always on the weapon chase. You're not on the armor chase. And this is actually going to bring the armor chase back into it for a bit. Because what's going to happen there is that unless they bring in constantly new weird perks or new things, you're going to kind of just stick with the armor, aren't you? But of course, yes, we do have the reset then every 6 months. I wonder if they're going to row back on that. If they row back on that, then this new armor upgrading, apart from making the system easier, once you've reached the level that you won't grind again, will you? So that's why the reset is there, to make you grind again. But the problem is, of course, is that people don't want to grind again once you've got what you want. And it's going to turn people off once they get to the end of the 6 months and go, oh God, I've lost it all, I've lost it all. So that's something. How can they get over that? How are they going to get over that? I have absolutely no idea. Now, here's a flip side of the coin. I don't know. I had fun destroying my vault. Oh, I've got to do that. I haven't done that yet. I now only have 150 god-rolled guns. Splendid, I've got 700 shite ones. I've been using the same armor for several years and I'm ready for the new grind. Yeah, I'm in that boat, I think. I would have liked a Destiny 3, but I am treating this like that. I also do not understand the static about power level. It always starts over with a new expansion. Yeah, I just think those numbers are arbitrary, aren't they? It doesn't matter if it's 20 billion or 1. You're just increasing a number. That doesn't bother me at all. In fact, simplifying a number down to its basic level, I don't know, there's a perceived idea that you're weaker, but it's not. It's just a relative number. And I think all the actual activities are going to be scaled with your number, so it's giving the game a bit of legs as it's going as well. You know what, I reckon all the cheesed offness is just coming from a place of burnout anyway. I don't think there's much that could be done. If you're at the end of your tether with the game because you've played it for so long, and I've been reading people have put in loads of hours. Some poor guy had terrible flack for saying he had put in 5,000 hours. A guy said he put in 1,000,000 hours, although I think he's talking rubbish. Yeah, so, you know, people have put in a long time into the game, and maybe that's the real problem, is that they've just had enough deep down, you know? And I think it doesn't really matter what they do. It's all, and it's true, it's all still going to kind of be the same. So anyway, there we go. Someone else supporting that as well. I honestly can't relate to any of these comments. I've stopped playing D2 lately, and all the changes coming have really made me excited to play again, especially with Armor 3.0. Armor has been boring and irrelevant for years, and the changes make the armor actually fun to grind for. Well, let's hope so. It depends how we got to grind for them as well, and the drop rates and all that kind of stuff. That can be a huge spanner in the works, can't it? Now, back to the DLC in general. I'm not cancelling, this person says. I've just decided not to buy it. For the first time since D1 launch, I am not buying a DLC. I've seen loads of comments like this. That's how fed up I am with Bungie. I left after sunsetting 1.0, which is still a very big open wound amongst the older community, and returned since my buddy kept asking. Now with sunsetting 2.0, the vengeance, including armor, even him decided to leave. I think even he's decided to leave. Too many lies, deceit, repeated lame excuses, and nothing really changed. Perhaps Sony will shake up Bungie's management and install something better. I like D2, so I'll be cheering from afar. Hey, Last Guardian, please turn the lights off when you leave. A very final opinion on what's going to happen there. I can understand. I understand all his opinions, really. Do you know what I mean? The sunsetting thing is weird, because they did hard sunset, didn't they? With Beyond Light, they literally just took stuff away that you couldn't use, or you had the sunset icon on it, didn't you, on the gun? So you knew it couldn't be infused up past a certain level, which meant that they were totally useless. But now, they're not doing that. They're not making the older weapons useless. They're making the newer weapons more relevant. So you can still use them, because a good roll on an older weapon is still a good roll, isn't it? It doesn't really matter. But the newer weapons, you're going to have, like the tier 5s, you're going to have so many choices with the weapon perks. And of course, then being new gear, they're also going to get the extra damage bonuses by equipping 4 of a certain type. You're going to get new damage bonuses, but these damage bonuses are only relevant for 6 months. It's going to be really weird to see how many of us are going to be using our older weapons once this new stuff comes out, or if we're just going to go, oh, I miss my older weapons, and then not look back at all once you've got the shiny new thing. Because I tend to do that. I think, oh, I'm going to miss this, and I go, ooh, shiny new thing. Bollocks to the old thing. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Yeah, there we are. For me, you see, I would have liked a Destiny 3. I don't care about losing all my weapons. I don't care about losing all my gear. I'd love to see a new story in the Destiny universe. That's what I'm kind of thirsting for. I'd love to see a full-on Golden Age story, or play as Cabal on Tora Battle, or something. It don't have to be a Guardian anymore. Be something else. Do you know what I mean? There's going to be ways to do it. Play like almost like a Skyrim version of Destiny, where we're amongst the Iron Lords when they first started coming up, or building the last city, or that kind of thing. I'd love to see that kind of stuff. I couldn't care less about the armor and the weapons. You've always got to regrind for that stuff anyway. Do you know what I mean? So what I would really have loved to see would have been something set in a completely different part of the universe, or utilizing the lore. I don't know. That's what I'm kind of thirsting for, is new Destiny from a different time period. Wouldn't it be amazing to set one that was during the Golden Age, after the Traveler appears on the moon? Do you know what I mean? That kind of a thing. I love the idea of that, or about the first fall, or something like that. That would be excellent. So this person said, I think they made a huge mistake not launching a Destiny 3. A fresh start would have given them some grace with new systems, etc. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they could implement all the new stuff. I won't be pre-ordering, fair enough, but we'll be keeping an eye on it to see how it's being received. I think it's going to get better. My initial response is that it's going to have a huge wanging when it comes out, regardless of what it does. And then maybe sentiment will improve as it goes on. We'll just have to see, won't we? Going back, what we got here, all I can say is I've not enjoyed any of the recent changes. Showering us with useless loot and making it grindy as hell to get the actually good weapons. Then all the changes coming just don't appeal to me or my ability to put time into the game. It's sunsetting 2.0, a lot of people have that opinion, a forced soft reset of my character's progression, and really this should be reserved for a Destiny 3 launch. Yeah, not some bone dry DLC. In all fairness, we haven't played it though, have we? We don't know what it's going to be like yet. Where location mechanics are getting called abilities. I love this game, but Bungie's won at pushing me out the door a second time. Maybe they'll get you back then. This time shy of 5,000 hours. There you are. Someone's done 5,000 as well. Enjoy the game, those who stick around. Well, there we are. That's a nice thing to say, isn't it? Rather than being all shirty about it. Like, there were so many weird comments there. So I think that's fair enough. And they're leaving the possibility of coming back as well. I think a lot of people are going to be like that, aren't they? They go, no, 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 no. And they're going to keep an eye on it and go, ooh, that looks interesting. And then come back for it, you know? Yeah, but there we are. We'll see again, won't we? Here we got another measured response, but stay in with the game. I will take a breath and rethink my position here. I've already paid for the game and can't be so draconian in my decision without trying it first. I want to wait and see. Same here. Do not delete all your stuff just yet. Same. Let's wait and see. Maybe Bungie will loosen up and walk back some ideas and changes. If not, game's going to go down, and so will Bungie. I think they're going to walk back some of the changes. I don't know what, though. What's the most contentious change for you? If you had to pick one thing you think that's a mistake, what would you say it is? I don't know. I don't really like the idea of having bonus power on the artifact for only a certain group of weapons. It's weird. But how do you push a game forward and drag everything else with it? It's a really complicated thing to do. But I don't know if that's going to be the thing that particularly works. Here's another one. On the stressometer up to a 10. One thing I'm most worried about is just how much these changes to armors and weapons will affect my old loot. People are saying, you see, that it's all going to be irrelevant. It's not going to be for a while, although it will inevitably be, I suppose. I've always been a casual player, but a year before the final shape, I started to grind so that I can have the gear I want to defeat the Witness. I've crafted my loadout to my personal specifications, gaining the weapons I want, with the perks I want, modding and grinding my armor for just the right stats to fully utilize my build. But with the new weapon and armor changes, will I have to completely rebuild and regrind all my armors and weapons just so I can have a chance to having fun? I'm not saying that you're going to chance at having fun, but you're going to have to rebuild your weapons. But is that fun as well? I don't know. What do you reckon? I'm happy with my loadout, I'm happy with my stats, but with hours of grinding just go down the drain now that there are these new changes. Not immediately, but that's what I'm most worried about. I've chosen to go back to being a casual player, so I don't want to grind for new weapons and new armors. But with these new changes, will I be forced to grind just so I can enjoy the game and not be railed by even the weakest of enemies? Do I have to rebuild everything from the ground up just after finalizing my builds? I don't like all these changes if it makes the previous systems completely obsolete. I just want to play Destiny for its story and not grind for hours a day just so I can kill a dreg. I don't think it's going to be that bad. But I do think that if you want to do the higher level end content, you're going to have to put in a bit of grinding, aren't you? Really, you're going to have to. But that's always been the case, I suppose. But they're just resetting their suite of tools, nice word, that you can use to do it. It's a problem when you've got a game that's 10 years old. It's really important to people because they put a lot of time into it. And when they come and just swish it away, and that's the worst thing about these live service games. There's no preservation of the older stuff. Just look at the Red War and all that kind of thing. You know, they haven't even got a playable version of it. And, you know, we all did pay for it. It'd be lovely to go back and play it, whether or not you want to or not. It would be great to have that. I don't know, it just seems to be one of the downfalls of this live service kind of thing, that you have to sacrifice this stuff as technology expands and things change and systems change. The older stuff no longer becomes compatible. I don't know. Yeah, but I reckon he's right though. All your stuff is eventually going to become obsolete, isn't it? But by the time that happens, will you not care anymore? And talking about old gear, this person's just realised something. Wait, you won't be able to upgrade the old stuff because of the new gear rework? If so, what's the point of grinding Right of the Nine? Well, yes, there's a little point to it, because you'll be able to take these weapons in, and they're going to be good weapons if you've got a good god roll. but they're not going to be the new weapon sets. And I think immediately you're going to have the comparison, aren't you? Is it new? Yes, keep it. Is it old? Chuck it. Will this result in even more vault space being taken up because you've got like an attachment to an older weapon that you ground out over weeks? Could well be, yes. But yeah, I mean, that's a fair point about the right of the 9 thing, isn't it, I suppose? You see, if they'd have done it, so I read a comment here earlier, perhaps I got one popping up. If they'd have done it so that the right of the 9 gave some weapons with these new tiers on them, then people would have flocked to it. But I think there's a technical reason for that. They can't introduce just that new tiering system on that group of weapons. Perhaps they can. They should have done. It would have been brilliant if we could have done that. That right of the 9 would have been the busiest activity around. But they didn't. So there we are. All the maybes in the world aren't going to help. That's a new saying I just made up, but it was crap, wasn't it? Here's a spicy one. Bungie's poor decision should be taught in business courses. Students could learn about a company killing their cash cow when all they had to do was give the customers what they wanted instead of putting all their times and resources into what their customers obviously had no interest in brackets, marathon. Well, yes. Isn't it weird that the Destiny community are probably the people who are least likely to play Marathon, unless you're a PvPer. If you're a PvPer, are you interested in Marathon? Let me know in the comments. And the second part of my rant, is it too late to start playing Warframe? No, not at all. It's not too late at all. I went and had a bit of good fun with it at the beginning of the year, but it's a lot to get into. Think of trying to get into Destiny 2 without ever having played a jot of it. That's the mountain that you got in front of you, but there's shed loads of content in there, and it can easily suck you in. There you go. Warframe plug. Now here's a comment in defense of sunsetting. Nice to hear. I am confused. The first sunset happened in the Taken King D1. People liked it because it brought a refreshed grind. The reason people view Beyond Light sunset as negative because Bungie thought they could do a systems change and just hard sunset all current gear while only adding 2 little new gear. That and content vaulting, which was pretty much universally derided, which is not the same thing as sunsetting, happening at the same time, was unfortunate because people now conflate the two or automatically associate them with what brought sunsetting such a negative sentiment. Sunsetting ain't bad, and what you're getting isn't even the hard sunset. And I don't know what D2 community you live in, but all players I know have talked to are hyped for the armor changes, since it means armor drops aren't 1,000 glimmer, but actually worth something. But even if you dislike it, your old armor is still usable. Exclamation, it's even viable, because you do not need the 15% damage boost from the new seasonal buff. There is no content in the game that will be impossible in the Edge of Fate because you are still using old armor and weapons. The point of that buff is so you can use the new stuff, even if they aren't god rolls during the season, without being at a disadvantage. Yeah, so that's just like, I don't know though, I think people do conflate sunsetting and content vaulting because they both look at it as you're having stuff taken away from you. And it happened at the same time. And I know it's different, but I think the feeling behind it is, oh, I can't use them now and I can't play that either. Do you know what I mean? The game's got to change if it's going to survive. But will it survive the change? Here's a spicy short one to the point. It looks like an even more ridiculous grind than normal. Bungie haven't sold this well at all. Basically, they're saying every piece of gear you've got is worthless and you have to start from scratch. I don't think they're saying that at all, really. I do think that you're going to eventually siege over to the new gear, aren't you? You know? You do that every season anyway, don't you? Really? I mean, I don't. No, I don't, actually. But, yeah, I can understand, though. It's the person's right in saying Bungie haven't sold this well at all. They haven't. And I think one of the mistakes they made was having all the content creators come out with all their stuff first and letting all their major information come out to the content creators without having them come out and say it first and having a definitive answer on it and then have all the opinions later. I think they've experimented with this and I don't know how well it's worked. Do you know what I mean? Yes, that's at 106 likes, that one has. Look, crikey. I had over 700 comments on this video, which is huge, really. Everybody wants to get their 10 pence in. And talking of the not great sale, I don't have to cancel as I haven't pre-ordered this upcoming expansion. This is the first time ever doing this. I think that's it for me after 9 years. Wow. Bungie would have to perform a miracle to get me back. Will they? Here we go. Here's something going back to the point I made earlier on. Bungie should have made all of these dungeon weapons available in the 9 upgradables to the Edge of Fate. In fact, in all fairness to this person, this is probably where I got the idea in the first place. So thank you to the Edge of Fate levels. And then lots of people will be playing right now. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I must have done. See, it's not my idea. I'm an idiot. Thank you, this person. Totally fantastic. And I agree with you there. And here's a final comment for this video, because I can't go through all the comments because I'll be here till Christmas. But this person says, I am not playing D2 anymore, but I will watch your videos. Always brilliant. Thank you very much indeed, that person. That's incredibly kind of you. So, that's another end of another comments video, but I really would like to hear what you're going to think. I'm going to be live streaming the actual reveal tomorrow. It's my first live stream back after holidays. But don't forget as well, if you are sick to death of Destiny 2, I do other games as well. I've covered The Division 2, I've played Avowed, I've played Atomfall, I play loads of demos. I've got loads of demos that I've been playing. Check out some of those videos because no one's watching them at the moment, and I'm trying to expand beyond Destiny 2, which is, of course, I love gaming in general, you know. So, and don't forget, like I say, I live stream here, I live stream on Twitch as well, 3 times a week, so come and have a look. I generally aren't playing Destiny at the moment because, well, nothing's much happening, but when, of course, Edge of Fate drops, I will be playing that too, but not exclusively, because I like playing different games. So there you go, folks. Let me know in the comments what you thought about all that, cobblers. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall speak to you all again very soon. Sausage, hurt.